Hello friends, today's topic of discussion is Hindi cinema, a tool of cultural diplomacy in international relations. As we are aware that how cinema is a tool of education, information, communication, and most importantly entertainment has been used since the early part of the 20th century. And over these years how cinema has established itself not only as an art form but also as an industry. And in the context of the international relations, if we try to position cinema, we can see that how it can also be used as a tool of cultural diplomacy as well. As many of the Hindi films, they are not only exhibited in India, but they are exhibited in different parts of the world. And how the Indian diaspora, which is there across the world, likes the Hindi films. And at the same time we have also seen in recent times that how many of the non-Indian audience in either China or for that matter America and other parts of the world, they have also liked the Hindi films. And from that point of view, how when Hindi cinema as a tool of culture, and when these films they will be exhibited in these countries, then some kind of a cultural diplomacy could be established in the context of the international relations, and cinema in a way could be used in terms of propagating or advancing the policy objectives in the context of the international relations. So our theme would be in the context of this development which is there in the recent times. And we can also see that it is not only the question of the recent times, as many of the films in earlier times as well. I think in 1930s 40s how Indian cinema it went to different kinds of film festivals as it was being sent. And in 1950s how Awara and some of the films they became very popular in USSR and some other regions of the world. So in that context, when we try to understand cinema as a tool of cultural diplomacy, then we can argue that apart from other tools which are used in the framework of diplomacy in the international context or relations, cinema definitely, and apart from cinema, we also can see that various television series, soap operas, all these serials, etc., Hindi serials, they have also been popular in many parts of the world, and they are consistently being seen on the various television channels. And the arrival of DTH has also given some kind of a boost to, in a way, showing of these films and television series across the world. In the context of the references as are Yan Yan Hong, University of Queensland, Australia, The Power of Hindi Cinema, a study on opportunities, challenges and audience perceptions of Indian cinema in China, Paula Gonzalez Grandia, Hindi Cinema as a Tool of Economic Soft Power, and Feroz Rangoonwala, 75 Years of Indian Cinema. So these are some of the readings which one can refer when one is talking about the kind of changes which one has witnessed in the recent times in the context of cinema, and how cinema can be positioned as some sort of a tool of cultural diplomacy. We also have seen that how the role of cinema has been multifarious. In that sense, it has been diverse, that how this tool has also been used in the context of writing of history, and many scholars and theoreticians, they've argued that why can't cinema be used as a tool of historical inquiry. Then we have also seen that in the context of cultural exchange, that how the films which have been made in India, they are exhibited across the world, and how the Indian culture is also being carried in these films, and the routine of songs and dances which are there in the Hindi films, they have also been liked across the world. We have also seen that in the context of the soft power, that how these kinds of relations, when they get developed, not only some kind of a financial benefit is occurring to the country because the kind of foreign exchange which they are able to seek when these films they are exhibited at the international level, but it is also seen as some sort of a soft power, in the sense that through these cultural exchanges, some kind of an opinion is being created in that particular country, and in the country which is sending its own films or television series, etc., can become some sort of a soft power in these particular regions. We all, as I told you initially, that how Raj Kapoor's film Awara, and as you can see on the screen as well, that they became part of the Russian folklore. That a song Avara Hoon even entered the famous novelist Solzhenitsyn's Cancer Ward and can be found there in fulsomely Russified accents. And the way the popularity of Raj Kapoor could be seen in Russia, and we have also seen that a film called Hathi Mere Sathi, made in 1971, it became famous in Thailand. So how Indian films, they have been seen across the world, how they have become popular across the world, and how the story of Avara had a lot of resonance in Russia, where it became quite popular. And we have seen also that this film was based on the environment and heredity debate, that whether heredity is important in terms of development of a person's personality, or rather the environment is responsible for it. So this film makes a plea in that sense, that how environment is central to the development of a person's personality. So we find that such kind of picturizations, they became quite popular, especially in Russia, and how Raj Kapoor, as you can see in the film clip,
तुम्ही से बातें करें, कितनी अजीब बात है। तू भी आवारा है, मैं भी आवारा हूं। तू भी बेनाम, मैं भी बेनाम। तू भी बेघर, मेरा भी कोई घर बार नहीं।
As you can see in the clip, that how Raj Kapoor is in a way conversing with himself and the kind of poverty which he has seen during his childhood and in the adulthood as well. And in this film we see that there was a song called Mera Joota Hai Japani, and how this particular song was also in a way vouching for the internationalism, because finally the hero says that Fir bhi dil hai Hindustani. So despite having different kinds of things with him which are which belong to the foreign nations, but his heart is basically Indian in nature. So this plea for internationalism was in a way talked about in this particular song, and at the same time the resonance of being Indian was another unique thing which was also associated, and this particular song became very, very popular at that point of time. There is another clip from the film Mera Naam Joker. Again in this film we see,
तुम जबान बोलते हो हिंदुस्तानी, सूरज शक्ल से लगते हो रूसी, रंगत गोरी, आंखें नीली, बाल भूरे, लिबास पंचमेल, तुम हो कौन?
क्या आपके लिए ये काफी नहीं कि मैं एक इंसान हूं, और हर इंसान की तरह दो आंखें, दो कान, एक नाक, एक पेट और एक दिल रखता हूं?
So in this clip what we have seen is that Raj Kapoor is in a way, because this film was made with a lot of Russian artists as well, it was some sort of a collaboration with them, and we have also seen that he is arguing or pitching for the idea of humanity, that he is a human being first. And this idea of humanity is quite universal in nature. And so this particular film, though from the commercial point of view it was a disaster for Raj Kapoor, but in the later times it was in a way critically it was praised a lot, it was seen to be some sort of a classic as well. And when we talk about Indian cinema or Indian films over the years, we have seen that these films, when they were exhibited in different countries, for example in China when Awara was being released, though Awara was not released at the time when it was released in India in 1951, and it was released sometime in 1970s when restrictions in terms of films they were being removed. And a retired education official, he commented that he watched this film with his wife in a nearby theater, and it was also the time of nation building as well. And how this film and the music, both of them, they offered a promise of hope. And the favorite song from this film, Awara Hoon, or I Am a Vagabond, was also a very huge hit at that point of time. So we see that when the people, those who saw such kind of cinema even in other countries, even when they did not follow the language in which the original film was, then also they become some sort of enamored by such kind of presentations. And with the arrival of technology, we have also seen that how the subtitles of the song, the way subtitling is being done, then how the arrival of dubbing has also contributed in the sense that many of the films, though they may not be in the original language of the person who is viewing, they may not be in the mother tongue in that sense, but even then they are being in a way liked so much, they get so much appreciation because of such kind of presentations which are quite universal in nature. So we see basically that initially Awara and Karma, again a film in 1971, they were the first foreign films to be shown in China after the kind of reforms which were brought about and the opening of the economy in 1978. And we find that the subsequent Chinese censorship laws restricting entry of foreign films, it led to the dwindling of Chinese interest in the Indian films. And so this is how, when you talk about a market called China, because China is a huge market in the framework of cinema, and the largest market, for example, USA, which is the Hollywood industry, and how Indian films, they have also been exhibited in Hollywood. Some kind of collaboration with Hollywood has taken place, especially in 1990s and thereafter, when you have the phase of liberalization, globalization and privatization. And we have also seen that how Indian films, when they have been exhibited in these regions, especially China, when Three Idiots, which was released in 2009, though it was released in India in 2009, but it was released in China after a gap of 2 years, and this film was appreciated too much in China, and how we see that even Amir Khan became some sort of a big celebrity in China because of Three Idiots and Dangal. You can see this clip.
वाइट फिल्मों की याद दिलाता था। एक छोटा सा कमरा जिसमें एक पैरालाइज्ड बाप, एक खांसती हुई माँ और एक बिन ब्याही बहन, सोफे पे खिले हुए स्प्रिंग और छत से 24 आवर्स रनिंग वाटर। माँ स्कूल से रिटायर्ड थी और ज्यादातर टायर्ड रहती थी। बाप किसी जमाने में पोस्ट मास्टर थे। पैरालिसिस के बाद बॉडी आधी बंद हो गई और सैलरी पूरी। और बहन
28 की हो गई है कमो। मारुति 800 मांगते हैं दहेज में।
So when you see this clip, this film was very, very popular, and it was talking in the framework of the educational reforms which are needed in the Indian education sector, and how the poverty of certain individuals that is being shown, and how this poverty is also linked to the question of education, because education will be seen as some sort of a factor which will bring about the kind of mobility which is needed in terms of rising the social ladder. And when one will be educated, one will be able to secure the job, and that job will provide the kind of mobility which is required in terms of not having the kind of resources or the money which is needed to maintain that kind of a standard of living. So Three Idiots definitely made this kind of a plea where they were asking that some kind of a change in the education system should be brought about, so that the what exactly the youth of the country they want, they are able to pursue that, and at the same time they can make some kind of a fruitful contribution to the society as well. We also see that apart from Three Idiots, some other Indian films, they were also being shown in other spheres, especially China, and how we also find that Dangal was one of the highest grossing Hindi cinema film outside of India of all time. And you can see on the screen that the kind of money which it could in a way earn in China, and this kind of record which was earlier held by PK, which was released in 2014, and how we also see that Chinese movie ranking site Dobbin, it rated the film 9.2 out of 10, making Dangal the highest rated foreign film in 2017. So in terms of rating also, we find that this film was popular, and we have also seen that how it was also able to make a lot of money when it was being released there. Then another film, Secret Superstar, for example, which was being made at that point of time, and how Secret Superstar also became very popular, and the issue of domestic abuse was there in this particular film, but it was also a huge success in China. Now you can see this film clip from Dangal.
ऐसे मारे हैं, आप भी बोलो ना कुछ।
देखो ना भाई साहब, कितनी बुरी तरह से मारे हैं।
सुझा दिया है मार मार के।
सुझा दिया मार मार के।
क्यों मारा?
मैंने ना मारा था जी।
गिप्ता बबिता ने मारा है। शुरुआत इन्ना करी थी पापा, मना कुतिया कह रहा था।
So in this film clip, that how Amir Khan, who wanted to be a wrestler, and how he could not succeed in his career in that sense, that he wanted an international gold for the country, and how his ambition or dream could be fulfilled with his daughters. And though it was not a sport where daughters traditionally would enter, but when he saw this kind of an opportunity, that how his daughters, they have in a way beaten the youth of the village, and he in a way, in that kind of a challenge where girls, they were not allowed to go for all these kinds of sports, and from that challenge he could see that there was an opportunity, and this kind of an opportunity was realized when he provided training to them. And this we also could see that how Indian women, they have brought a lot of laurels to the country by winning medals at international level. So this film, from some kind of a agricultural or rural background, and how it was able to create that kind of an impact, that at international level also it was being well received, especially in China and some other countries, and how India and China, they share the kind of border which they have. Then they also, both of them, they are the ancient civilizations. Both of them, they have the agriculture as their base in the context of the economy, and how over the years, that how China and India, both of them, they have developed as well. So we find that such kind of stories, they are in a sense common to each other in some way. And the idea of soft power, as I told you earlier, Joseph Nye, he coined this term. The idea of soft power is a country's ability to achieve the global influences through attractions rather than coercion. So the soft power in that sense is the power of attractiveness that involves intangible power resources such as culture. And we find that how there are a number of factors which influence in a way the cultural globalizations in that sense, and the Indian liberalization policies have also been very important, and the rapid expansion of the Indian film exports in that sense, that how films, they are going abroad, and increasing global leakage in that sense, and notably the spread of the diaspora audiences, that the audience which are there in different parts of the world, which are the diaspora, and all of them, they have in a way contributed to the increased popularity of the Hindi films among the foreign publics, and therefore they have contributed to a rise in India's soft power. So we find that this idea of soft power is in a way used to describe all the power that is not purely military or economic in nature, and the use of the international cultural relation institutions are one of the many ways soft power takes form. It has grown over the years. So we find in a way that how some kind of an increased investment in the soft power initiatives on behalf of some of the largest economies in the world. And though USA remains at the forefront of the soft power, Asian powers, they have also started to do the same. And this also shows that how soft power is an essential tool for most economic global powers as well, and how Hindi cinema, the place as well as the growth on the global stage and the increased use of soft power as a foreign policy tool has been done in the recent years, and the importance of both lie in their unprecedented popularity and effectiveness, and we find that consequently their impact on the India's ambitions and the international presence. So we find that there is some kind of a pattern of exploiting the soft power as a national instrument, and this is not unique to India, and it is neither the use of the film industry to this purpose, and many countries, they have integrated this kind of a strategy into their policies. And this also underscores the potential impact of the international soft power initiatives, as they are beginning to be widely used as well in the media and the soft power. Therefore they go hand in hand. And when you talk about the scholars, that how they in a way see the soft power as the one that can shape others' preferences. However, it is not only convincing in that sense but also influential to point out that it can succeed in achieving foreign policy objectives as well. And we find that Nye, he talks about that a country's soft power exists primarily in three elements: its culture, its political values, and its foreign policy. And when you talk about culture and how the culture is effective in that sense, that how it can become attractive to others, then we find that the political values, they work if the national and the international policies, they are consistent in nature, and the foreign policies, they succeed if they are perceived as legitimate as well. So in that sense, Hindi cinema is categorized in the first element, culture, and how the films, when we try to see them, they also speak the language of universality, and they are strongly influenced by a country's culture, ideology, and social practices. So we'll discuss further about how the cinema can be used in the framework of as a tool of cultural kind of exchanges which are happening between different countries, and these cultural exchanges are also important in the framework of the diplomacy of these countries, and how they could also contribute in that sense that they can in a way bring about positive changes in the international relations, where different countries, they are having good international relations with each other. And apart from other tools, I think Hindi cinema can also play an important role in terms of improving these relations in the framework of cultural diplomacy. So thank you very much.